Peace and love, family. It's your brother Isaiah, tapping in with another one for you. Conscious brothers and sisters in the conscious community, keeping the struggle because we know it's through the struggle we grow. Also, I'd like to say that it is, in fact, a slow process for progress, and that the race is not to those that are swift, but it is to those that remain dutiful and stay in this journey for the long haul. Y'all already know my videos, they never constitute legal advice. I'm not a legal counsel. I'm not an attorney. I'm your brother. I just share with you education and information about my walks and travels throughout my journey called life. And I like to extend all these honors to you because when you're honoring man and woman, you are most definitely honoring yourself. Also, let me give adoration and acknowledgement to Allah, who is the head, the temple of my life. And I like to extend that same love, courtesy, and acknowledgement to all of his messengers and prophets. And I like to say peace to you, beloved brothers and sisters, and grand rising to all of the indigenous people all over the globe. How's everyone doing? Myself, I'm, as always, taking everything in steps, stages, and degrees, constantly unfolding in this womb of these two different worlds we live in. Now, I titled this video, Why the DBA? Why? Why should you do a DBA? If in fact, as a natural man or woman, you don't want to do business. Say you don't want to, run a business ever in your life, right? And you just want to do transactions for your personal. You just want to live a normal, life as an individual. You have to do a DBA for the simple fact your legal name is a registered name with the state. Being that the name is already registered with the state, it's already considered as a registered entity, but it's not incorporated. That's where a lot of us get confused, because we know that the name is registered with the state because we got a birth certificate showing the registration of the citizenship. Because the citizen is not you, the citizen is the registered name that they registered as the citizen. So your legal name is a registered citizen, okay, of the state where you live at, and you are the national, the agent, the officer authorized and assigned by the government and the Social Security Administration to manage that legal person. So you're the managing member of the person. The reason why you have a social security number is not because that's your number. It kind of is your number, but not your number as far as identification, not identifying you as a person. No. The social security number is an employee's identification number. It means that you are the employee for the person that you work for. See, we all work for a person. We all been assigned a person as our employer, right? So anytime we want a mortgage, we have to go through our employer, which is our principal. Our principal is the one that hires us in order to facilitate whatever we need to do in order to purchase what we want. So I already work for a person. His name is Liddell D'Angelo Lewis, or Isaiah Jakeem Bay. That is my person. That is my principal, and I'm the employee working for that person. Anytime that person acquires goods or services, I'm the one who should benefit as the employee managing that person's obligations. So once you wake up and you realize how this thing really operates, you'll understand why you need to register your name, right? The government name, because it's already considered as a registered entity, but it's not incorporated. So it's an unincorporated business entity, okay? It's not incorporated. So when you're using that name, according to every state, any name that's not your God-given name or your true name, meaning not saying that it's spelt the same and pronounced the same, you got to know what a true name is. You got to know the right style of a true name. All right. When you got to understand, just because something sounds the same and pronounced the same doesn't mean that it's dramatically referencing you if the style in which the name is being displayed is not correct. You got to understand what a correct style for for a natural person name to be in, and you got to know the style of a legal name when that person is doing some type of legal action or taking some type of taking on some type of obligation on the legal level. So your legal name is a business name. All right. It's an official business, meaning that your official business name is known as your government name. The reason why the government gave you that official name is because all business in the United States is done through persons. All business is done through persons. So every man, every natural woman was assigned a person because in order for you to do any business, you have to go through your principal, which is your employer. All right. And you are the employee. That's why you got the identification number to identify yourself as the employee for that principal. Okay. Not as the principal, but as the employee. Right. Now, the DBA is so important is because you have the rights as a natural man or woman to operate as a sole proprietor. All right. This is very important that you understand what I'm telling you, because as a sole proprietor, right, you solely control and own everything. All right. But as a sole proprietor, you're acting as the principal. You're already acting as the principal anyway. You just ain't reaping no benefits in the capacity that you're already doing employee services. All right. You're acting as an employee for a person, but you haven't did everything necessary in order to benefit from the services that you're providing to your principal. So you haven't did a DBA yet in order to show that that is a business. See, the reason why the DBA is so important is because only businesses can do DBAs. Only a business can have a fictitious name. So if you're saying that your government name is a business, then you should be able to do a DBA for that business. If it's already a business, only businesses can do DBAs. Okay. So if my legal name is my official business and I know that, then I need the rest of that name. Why? So that I can have a new name for my business to do business under. Now that I give my original business a new name to do business under, now I can be identified as the owner of the fictitious business. All right. Because if I do business with the legal person without registering him, then my identity is not known, because I'm doing business with a person that's unregistered. So the identity of the user can't be identified. You can't identify a person using something that he ain't registered, so they can know who the registered owner is. So that's the whole purpose in doing a DBA. So you can register your ownership over the legal person. Okay. Now, and it don't matter. You don't see a lot of people would tell you register your all cap name, John Henry Doe. You don't have to do that. Some states allow you to do that, and some states don't allow you to do that. Okay? It's not necessary that you register your all cap name, John Henry Doe. You don't have to register that name. All you have to do is register a new name for that name to do business under. If you saying that John Henry Doe is a business, give it a DBA, give it a fictitious name. That way, prima facie evidence to anybody charging that person, you got a fictitious name for it to show that that person is actually a business. And here's my fictitious name registration to show what business, what name I'm doing business under as that person. See what I'm saying? So you gotta do a DBA, because that's the only way you can show to the state that you're doing business with the name. If you're using the name, as your personal name, and it's not your real personal name, it's a simile, something similar to your name, sound the same, pronounce the same, but the way it's being displayed, it doesn't properly identify you, and you keep saying that that's you. You're in violation because you're using a legal person as your identity, and a legal person could never be you. You are a natural person. So if you're using a legal person, why not register that person? And so we can know who the owner is, because if that's your individual, if that's my individual, we all got our own individual. All right. You the consumer, but you got an individual that you use, okay? An individual is an entity. An individual is the same thing as an LLC. An individual is the same thing as a trust. An individual is the same thing as a partnership. So when you think of the word individual, think of company. They just don't put company on the end of it. They just say individual. But it's an individual company or individual partnership. That's what it is, okay? And you are the agent of the individual. But the thing about the individual that's so important that every man and woman must know is assess the KV trust. Now, why is that important, Brother Isaiah? Why are you telling us on this live that we all have an individual and that we are the agent of our individual identity and that we must register our individual identity so that they can know who owns the individual? Now, you got to do that. It's imperative that you do that. And you don't have to register the all cap name. You just need to give it a new name to do business under instead of doing business under that name, because under that name, it's assumed to be you. Do it make sense now? Because you and your principal have similar names. Your principal has a name similar to yours. It's a deceptive practice and act. So they name the entity after you. So when you use it, if you don't know it's an entity, you incur all the entity's obligations by saying it's you when it's not you, because you didn't register your legal name. Now, you don't have to register your legal name the same name. You just got to give it a new name to do business under. It's already a business. Give it a new name so it can identify who owns that business. See, if you don't give it a new name, then you can't identify yourself. See, because in order for the business to be identified, it got to be registered. So they gave you an unregistered business for you to use, and they knew that it was a business, and they knew that it was unregistered. So when you use it, you incur all the liability. Why? Because you're using a person, an entity, but you're not registering the entity, and that's a violation of law. That's a violation of civil rules. You cannot use a name other than your own without the name being registered. So they gave you a name that sound like your name, spelt like your name, but they put it in a different style and hoping you would never figure out that the style changed the meaning of the name. And you keep using that name, that style of that name, saying it's you. And then you wonder why you having so much hell. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to do a power of attorney without doing a DBA. How you gonna do a power of attorney and you ain't got a DBA? So basically, you're saying that your government name is a business, but you ain't did a DBA for it yet. Anything that can be proven, it must be proven. If somebody tell me that my legal name is me and I know it's a business, then I can prove that. Here go my DBA. I'm doing business as John Henry Doe. It shows that the name is doing business as another person. So if it was me, I'm not a business, so I could never do a DBA. You can never do a DBA for a natural person because we're not businesses. All right? Only a business can do a DBA. Okay? Only doing business as. So when you have a business and you want to do business as something else, then you register a DBA for the business to have another name other than its original name to function under. So that's why in the code, I'm going to wake you up real quick and then I'm going to get off this live. Go to the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, right? And this is what I want you to do. It says what it says. It says that remember it's talking about the definition in the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, and it talks about the definition of a debt collector. All right. I don't know the whole definition. They get the name and all the debt collectors. And then it says that, and it talks about a creditor, right? It says something in there that a creditor collects debts in a name other than his own name, right? In order to indicate that a third party is the one collecting the obligation. What that means is, instead of you using your government name as the official name that you're doing business with, you give your government name another name like John Doe Cakes or Henry Doe Flowers or something like that. You give it a new name to do business under. So now that name now has a new business name. And now your name is separate from that name. So it's as if you are a third party to the business collecting that business debts. So a creditor collects debts in a name other than his own, meaning he don't use his legal name as the name he do business with. He uses another name to do business under. And then his name becomes a third party to that business. Now he collects his obligation from a different name other than his real name. See, that's the reason why you need a DBA. You need a DBA because you need to be using a name other than your own name in order to collect obligations of your account. Okay. And with that said, man, I'm going to leave y'all as I always do in love, in truth, in peace, freedom, justice, and equality for us all. Study to show yourself approved. Understand that this system deals with legal persons, and all legal persons are entities. The 14th Amendment citizenship was not given to natural persons. It was given to legal persons. So what they did was they created a legal person, they gave it citizenship, and then they assigned that person and that citizenship to you. Okay, I'm going to say it again before I go so you can understand what they did. They created a statutory person, under laws, rules, and regulations. When they created the statutory person, they took your information to create that person, which gave you an interest in the person's obligations because the statutory person is borrowing your information, which is your credit information, which is your name and all of your stuff. It's borrowing from you in order to be created. So they took the child's information in order to create. It's almost like when you apply for something. So your mom put your information into an application so that they can create an account for you, but the account was a unique account. It was a Sesta KV trust account, meaning they were creating not just an account for you. When she rescued, they were creating an artificial creature, contrast to you, that will be assigned to you throughout your life. And if you never knew what it was, you would inherit all its obligations, right? So when they created this statutory person at birth, and they rested this person at birth, and then they gave citizenship not to the man, they gave citizenship to the person, to the statutory entity is the citizen. And then they transferred the document of title, which is the birth certificate, to you in order to transfer their rights to you, because it was really their debt. It's really their person. It's their obligation. But when they transfer the title, the birth certificate, in your possession and your mama keep it, you incur all their obligations. Then they assign a social security card to you and tell you to sign it. When you sign it, you adopt that record. Now you're responsible for everything because you don't understand that he's transferring his obligation to you. And anytime that entity generates a debt, you're supposed to transfer that back to them. See what I'm saying? So you got to understand what's going on. But I'm out of here. If you want to learn more about what I'm talking about, make sure you hit me up at thepeoplesremedyinc.org. You can get a consultation, memberships. I got coachings. I got mentorships. I got a lot of different things that I offer for, depending on what you need. You know what I'm saying? I even got installment plans where I can work with individuals that might not be able to afford certain things until they can do certain things to put themselves in a better situation. So I try so many ways to work with y'all to try to, enlighten you and help you inform yourself on things you need to know so you can start making a difference in your everyday activity. So hopefully y'all like this video. Make sure you share the video as many people as you possibly know so that they can learn how to register their legal name and the importance of registering their legal name so that they don't incur a legal obligation of the government by using the government name without registering it. Salute, peace, and love. I'm out here.